Hello, I'm Leroy Garcia, and this is Blue Rain Gallery Podcast. Today, we are interviewing Roseta Santiago. We're going to go through a little bit of her history. Welcome, Roseta, to the studio. As you can see, behind both of us are beautiful paintings that Roseta has done. I'd like to start by having Roseta tell us a little bit about herself, where she's from, her influences, and things that she's done to move from the East Coast to the West. So we'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Leroy. Well, I started out on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., and it was pretty magical there, a lot of politics, and my father was in the Navy, so that's one thing that I brought forward was the Santa Fe logo that was on the train, the first Santa Fe Railroad crossing with Harry Truman that my father was on. And so I use it today to kind of give him a nod. But I also lived in Miami and in New York and Atlanta and designed and built theme restaurants and bars and nightclubs. And I also worked with Bass Pro Shops. And all of this is a self-taught career. So I've been self-employed my entire life, which is why I'm like this, Leroy.
Well, when you were little, did you find yourself sketching and drawing all the time?
Sketching and drawing, and very much into my own head. So that really produced a lot of imagination, and that's what I bring, I think, to some of the paintings I do today, the storytelling, the thought process, imagination. Anyway, and then I decided to move west because I looked for a city that was thriving in art. I promised myself many years ago and told my son, I'm going to have an art career someday. And I called him one day and said, it's now. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get up and move.
Well, you moved to a mecca of art, didn't you?
I did. Mm-hmm. Well, I did my market study. Mm-hmm. And noticed that even though people said, why are you going there? There are 3,000 artists. I said, it's perfect for me.
Yeah, for the audience in Santa Fe, outside of Chelsea and Soho in New York, it's probably the largest concentrated part of art, probably in the United States. There's about 300 plus galleries, active galleries in this town. So, yeah, there's at least 3,000 artists, if not more.
Yes. There are 200 artists in 1 square mile here. Yeah. I was on the Gallery Association board for a short time until they found out I didn't have a gallery. So anyway, I support artists. I'm a mentor to a few artists and an artist advocate. So in any case, I moved west because it had the same kind of lure of the cowboy and Indian romantic attitude, and because it is a frontier in a way and remains that way. But it was different than the East Coast and the Midwest and Europe. So I decided to jump right in the middle here. Mm-hmm. And I fell in love with the subject matter that I prefer to paint, portraits of people. Mm-hmm. That comes a little bit from my upbringing of not really discussing people, so it fascinates me.
You know, a lot of artists, when they move here, one of the other reasons is the natural light is a little bit different than other areas of the country. For some reason, I don't know, especially where I grew up in Taos, the light is beautiful, beautiful. But
I think there's less pollution.
Yeah.
And it is a beautiful light. And I studied that when I went to the Louvre and also the Tate Gallery, and also read a lot of by an Irish shaman. He wrote a book on beauty and the invisible embrace, and it was about the light changing on sculpture and things like that. So it inspires me.
Yeah.
It's beautiful here.
Well, we love your portraitures and most of the works that you're doing. You do different styles of work.
Yes, I do.
What are they? Like what's
Well,
where's all these veins
I'm
going?
I'm pretty bold about my voice, and my voice is in the brush. So if I think that a style really suits the subject, then I use it. I'm willing to try to explain what's in my head by the style of painting, the colors, the lighting, and everything. And if I can, I will. That's kind of my modus.
Well, I noticed the first paintings that you brought in to Blue Rain Gallery, was that like 12 years ago or so?
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while. Were still lifes of pots, right?
Right.
What do you like about pottery from here?
Well, first of all, I taught myself to paint in 2000. When I moved here, I bought a house, locked the door, built a studio, and learned to paint shapes. And the first thing I painted was a pot because it seemed simple. It was round. I looked at the light. I worked on the chiaroscuro, the light and the dark. And I never painted a figure until I really thought I had the chops to do it. It was a mystery to paint flesh rather than pottery. So I kept painting still life, and then I graduated to the lighting on some other items.
I remember as well the chiaroscuro style with the horse, right? And
Right.
You paint. Your horses are beautiful, by the way. Most artists have a hard time painting horses. They'd rather paint a human form than a horse.
Oh my. Well, horses to me are journey animals. I became interested in symbolism. So my horses aren't anatomically painted, they're painted as messengers. And lately I've been tattooing horses because it's fascinating to tell a story and wrap the story around the whole journey of the horse and it as a messenger, because they're prized animals.
So we're talking about a painting that Blue Rain has currently in inventory, and we'll put that up on the screen. It also, the tattoos have an Oriental feel to it as well. Where does the Oriental influence come to you by?
Well, from my family, my father is from the Philippines. He was Spanish and Filipino. And just I think the mystery that I grew up with, not knowing what they were talking about. And then I started studying the Japanese samurai and all the wonderful legends and the mystery. So I bring that in.
Yeah, you even painted a few kimonos, I think.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I'm painting more now. But now I'm painting, fusing a lot of the storytelling together, and I like that. I'm experimenting always. I paint every single day, and I enjoy it.
Well, I know you're very dedicated to your craft. It shows, because it is about practice every day to get better. And so you want to title this something with the brush. What was it called?
Oh, informing the brush.
What do you mean by that?
Okay. Well, it's fairly simple. I tell people, mainly students who ask me about, well, how did you do that? Or what's going on there? I said, well, if you have a brush in your hand and you use your eyes and you see something and you paint it, that's what you get. You get what you see. But if you put your hands in a pot, for instance, you can feel the fingerprints of the potter in a lot of cases in the coil-built pots, and I study the materials. If you feel the temperature of the pot, if you think about the usage of the pot and the design work and how difficult it was to put that on with a handmade brush, then you're informing your brush with all of your emotions, and that produces something special.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
I have a question for you. How would you describe the studio in which you paint?
I describe my studio as if you stand there and look everywhere, you'll see what's in my head.
Mm-hmm. Because you're an avid collector as well, aren't you?
I am. I'm fascinated by other people's creations. Mm-hmm. So I have pottery, I have a sawbill shark bill, I have Asian artifacts, baskets, textiles. I love to look at them. They inspire me.
Yeah, well, you can see it comes out in the paintings for sure.
Thank you.
Roseta, tell me a little bit about this painting here.
Okay.
Because it has a good construct to it. The scene, you put some thought into that.
It's really fascinating to me because one of the beautiful things that I've learned about the Native community and their beliefs about time, how it exists, and I painted 3 figures on the left of this painting that are coming to visit Blumenschein, who was one of the Taos founders. But I also included some living artists who I know in the painting because all that energy to me is very beautiful. They are all models in the painting. And so I imagine how it was then and how it is now. And in a painting I have in the Taos Founders show right now, I took Dunton's daughter, Vivian, and I put 2 of my models who are alive standing there meeting her on horseback. And it's fascinating to me to know that eventually all of that is history, but there's a beautiful existence that happens.
And for me, I really relate to it because I am from Taos, and this was a very common scene growing up with a lot of the Taos Pueblo dressing in the penny blankets.
Yeah.
So there's something that's gets to my heart.
Good.
I'd like to thank Roseta for coming into the studio today.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. This is a wonderful place to be in my life, being able to express everything I want to express and also have the support of people who are on the same journey.
Yes.
That's what I like.
We're family, and we're glad you're with us.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in
Great.
today. Like to encourage our audience to subscribe to our podcast on any of the platforms. If you have a hard time finding it, just go to our website, blueraingallery.com, and look under the menu bar for podcast. Also like to encourage you to visit our online store of products by our artists at bluerainprintshop.com. Thanks.
Thank you.